Welcome, everyone, to Trend Micro Talks. I am your host, Erin Tomie, and today we're talking to Trend Micro's Manager of Threat Incident Response and Forensics, Chris LaFleur. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you, Aaron? Thank you for having me on.
I'm doing fantastic, very happy to have you, and I would love to start with you sharing a bit about your role here at Trend Micro.
Yeah, so I run the Americas team, which means for incident response, which means North America and South America on this side of the world. Basically, we respond to ransomware events that take place to understand what took place. We'll do forensics, try to find the entry point, and make sure that the threat actor is not still looming around as well. Most people don't realize that after a ransomware event doesn't mean that you're out of the hunt just quite yet. And we also have a team of threat support engineers as well underneath me for just normal day-to-day threat support for all of the Americas as well. They handle all inquiries and in typical just standard infection cases like a single endpoint, one-off deals. But really, the more exciting stuff is the incident response side of things. That's when we get to go and fight the fires and get to really understand the threat actors, the way that they do activity and stuff like that, what they touch, what they're after, with our forensics capabilities and items. So that's it about in a nutshell. I can go on for about an hour if you want me to.
No, I think that gives a good overview. And I know that you've worked on the team since 2020. And I'd like to start off. Obviously, you and I know Trend Micro has state of the art security products that our customers are using. So, why do we even need an incident response team?
So partly is it's two factors, right? One, not everybody has all of the state of the art solutions that Trend Micro is trying to offer the market to begin with. That one's a given. Trust me. I bet you the entire sales team is wishing that adoption would take place. The other part too is it's a combination of human factor of tech and humans coming together, basically. So cybersecurity is advancing so rapidly in the last 5 to 10 years, probably. I haven't been in cybersecurity for 10 years, so I can't necessarily reference that point. But in the last 5 years, it's definitely changed significantly, where we went from a major usage of machine learning, and now it was EDR, and today it's XDR. And tomorrow, I have a feeling we're going to go even deeper with potentially AI utilization as well around models of XDR and stuff, and trying to explain that to your standard security engineer or analyst that's at a business, and for them to comprehend that impact, it gets a little complicated, right? They don't quite understand it, and they don't quite understand what threat actors are doing today as well. They don't understand how fast it can actually happen, and how really it's not if it can happen, but it's when it will happen. That's a key piece right there, and that's why trying to understand the purpose of visibility, uncovering the scope. You have all of this data that exists across multiple vendors, and it just gets really, really complicated to try to manage it as a typical security was done. I mean, I'm telling you, in the last 5 years, typical security was handled by one or two people in a company, and now it is in the forefront of everything that's going on. People are trying to lock it down. They're trying to advance into SOC analysts, and then there's a people shortage on top of it. So it's just a compound cake. So hence the reason why we have an IR team, because it will happen. It will happen to the best of them eventually. And forensics is one of those pieces that sits on the very top of the cybersecurity pain pyramid. And it is not an easy task to necessarily pick up and go, because you have to know your normal to be able to identify what's evil. A little Sands Institute quote there. Um, but yeah, that's more or less in a nutshell on why an IR team needs to exist. And then why Trend Micro? Well, we got a huge background in threat intelligence, right? So we use that threat intelligence to use with our IR events. And that, I believe, gives us an upper hand because we can step into just about any situation and feel confident that we know what the TTPs are and where the threat actor may hide or identify anything new that they might be trying to do too.
Yeah, well, one thing that you mentioned when you were introducing your role is you talked about fighting fires. And I imagine that that is anything but relaxing. And I'd love to know how you keep your cool when you're handling pretty serious security events on a daily basis.
So it's funny. Whenever I first started this role, when we first started the IR team in the Americas back in 2020, right at the start of the pandemic, yay for us! Nothing like starting a new team and then going into isolation, right, away from all of Trend Micro. We went into this little bubble, and I will tell you that first year we found out exactly how stressful this type of work is. To stay on top of the stress today and stuff, one kind of got used to it. So think of it like an ER doctor, but the other part is actually, believe it or not, as cliche as this going to sound, is actually spending at least 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Try to do it daily in some kind of exercise or gym format. Um, I picked that up actually from some gamer streamers because if you go look at the high performing gamers, they're not very overweight. They actually look kind of athletic build in a way. And the reason behind it was that they take care of themselves itself, because then the brain, the cortex, and everything else will follow through as well, right? So yeah, believe it or not, it works. Again, kind of cliche to say it that way, but it does work.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of gaming streams, so I didn't actually know that about gamers. I think with that profession, there's certainly a lot of stereotypes around what they look like. But now that I think about ones that I do know of that are quite famous, they don't kind of fit the typical stereotype of someone who sits in a chair all day. That's a great point, and I could not agree more. I always make sure I get outside or do some kind of exercise every day, and I know how much it helps me, and I know that my job isn't as stressful as yours.
For the long term wise, it's been good trying to get some good sleep in general and then exercise. The other piece too around it, like how do you manage it, is that I have a great team underneath me, and those analysts, they handle a lot of the bulk. I trust them, so that's another big piece as well. So whenever they say that we need to do this or hey, this is going on, their word is gold to me. So
Yeah, there's nothing better than having a team around you you can trust. And that definitely can bring the stress and the pressure off of you. And looking to take more of that stress off, what are some of the top best practices to share with companies to help them avoid ever needing your team's help and bringing up your stress level?
well, to start with, XDR, obviously, right? Let's go to Vision One. XDR, that should be the number one piece. That should be in every environment today. There shouldn't be a single company that is trying to do any kind of modern cybersecurity or saying that they're doing any modern cybersecurity without some form of XDR in their environment. The next piece is MDR services. So this is an extremely important one. Um, it's not meant to replace your SOC, right? It's meant to augment your SOC. So you build your SOC with your people that can take actions to your local environment, that can understand the security needs for your environment itself. But you use a company like Trend Micro for an MDR service, because then you get to tap into their threat experts directly into your console to essentially do investigations for you and to highlight the actual critical ones that you should be focusing on, right? Um, and then that's two of them right there, right? And then three is staying vigilant as well, right? Again, you're augmenting a SOC, you're not replacing a SOC. So vigilance is a big piece. I don't know how much you know about the way that we operate with the Smart Protection Network today. Um, we started that operation because we noticed that our customers, for the most part, when they were getting breached, there were signs of early indicators before the ransomware detonated. So today we spend and invest in this time through our Trend Cares program to essentially tap into this smart protection network, and we just do a query real quick just to make sure that there's no early indicators of a possible breach for customers, and we just tap them on the shoulder, right? Again, it's part of that stay vigilant side of things. Be a little bit more lean to proactive, um, and that I think if you can nail those four down, you'll kind of dodge most of the attacks today. I will tell you, if somebody really wants to get in, they'll get in. It's a matter of time, right? So one of my first cyber courses that I've ever taken for security explains how a blue team has to be right 100% of the time. So that includes products, that includes the people that are working it, all that kind of stuff. A red team has to be right one time. They can fail 99 times, but they only need to be right that 1%. And if they can be right that 1%, that's a success for them. But if the blue team fails that 1% number, they failed, right? So just think of it like that, right? It's extremely hard to be on the blue side of this event versus the red side.
Yeah, the red team or the hackers, the threat actors, you're right. They only have to get it right once to make a big impact, and it's constantly on the blue team, the security teams, the SOCs at organizations. They have to try and be as perfect as possible, which in this world with, like you've said a few times, how quickly things are changing, how the threats are evolving, it's really hard to keep 100% of things outside of your environment. So, Chris, I really appreciate you joining me here on Trend Micro Talks, sharing those best practices, sharing your experience on the IR team. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thank you, Erin. Have a good day.